The world will tell you to be realistic. It will show you your bank account, your account circumstances, your limitations, and declare these to be the immutable facts of your existence. But I tell you tonight that these are not facts at all. They are merely the outpicturing of your past assumptions, the crystallized thoughts that you have held about yourself and your world. The man who looks at his empty wallet and says, "This is my reality," has forgotten the most fundamental truth of existence, that consciousness is the only reality, and that all else is but its shadow. When I speak of ignoring your reality, I do not mean to live in denial or to close your eyes to appears to be. I mean something far more profound. I mean to recognize that what you call reality is simply the lag between your assumption and its manifestation. It is the interval between the seed planted in consciousness and the harvest reaped in experience. The man who plants a seed does not dig it up each day to see if it has grown. He waters it, tends it, and assumes its growth even when he cannot see it. So too must you tend your assumptions with the same faith, the same persistent assumption of their fulfillment. You see, my friends, assumption is not merely positive thinking or wishful hoping. Assumption is the act of taking something for granted, of accepting it as true regardless of external evidence. When you assume something, you live from that assumption. You think from it, you feel from it, you act from it. You do not think of it as something you hope will happen, but as something that already is. This is the secret that separates those who manifest their desires from those who merely dream about them. Consider the man who desires wealth but looks at his poverty and says, "But this is my reality." He has made his current state his God, his standard of truth. He worships at the altar of his circumstances and wonders why they never change. But the man who assumes wealth, who thinks from wealth, who feels from wealth, who acts from the consciousness of wealth, will find that his external world must conform to his internal state. For the outer world is but the reflection of the inner world, and it cannot help but mirror back to you the assumptions you persistently hold. The great mistake that most people make is in trying to change their outer world while leaving their inner world unchanged. They try to force circumstances to bend to their will through effort and struggle, never realizing that circumstances are but the echo of consciousness. You cannot change the echo by shouting at it. You must change the voice that creates it. You cannot change your reflection by manipulating the mirror. You must change what stands before it. This is why I say to you tonight, ignore your reality and keep assuming. Do not let the evidence of your senses dictate to you what is possible. Do not let the opinions of others determine what you can become. Do not let your past failures convince you that your future must be the same. For in the realm of consciousness, all things are possible to him who believes, and belief is simply assumption persisted in. When you assume something, you enter into the feeling of the wish fulfilled. You do not try to figure out how it will happen or when it will happen. You simply live in the feeling that it has already happened. This is not make-believe or fantasy. This is the very mechanism by which all things come into being. For everything that exists in your outer world first existed in someone's consciousness as an assumption, as the feeling, as a belief. The house you live in was once just an assumption in the mind of an architect. The device you used to communicate was once just an assumption in the mind of an inventor. The love you experienced was once just an assumption in your heart. Everything without exception follows this pattern. First the assumption, then the manifestation. This is the law of consciousness, and it operates with the same precision and reliability as any law of physics. But here's what most people fail to understand. The law of consciousness operates continuously, whether you are conscious of it or not. You are always assuming something about yourself and your world. You are always living from some set of beliefs and expectations. The question is not whether you are using this law, but whether you are using it consciously and deliberately, or unconsciously and by default. When you look at your current circumstances and react to them, you are assuming that they are fixed and permanent. When you worry about your future based on your past, you are assuming that your past determines your future. When you let the opinions of others shape your self-image, you are assuming that they know you better than you know yourself. These are all assumptions, and they are all creating your reality. just as surely as any conscious, deliberate assumption would. The difference is that conscious assumption is assumption by choice, while unconscious assumption is assumption by habit. The man who consciously assumes wealth lives from wealth and experiences wealth. The man who unconsciously assumes poverty lives from poverty and experiences poverty. Both are using the same law, but one is using it deliberately while the other is using it by default. This is why it is so crucial that you learn to ignore your current reality and persist in your assumptions. Your current reality is nothing more than the sum total of your past assumptions. It is yesterday's consciousness made manifest. But you are not bound by yesterday's consciousness. You are not limited by what you have been or what you have done. You are the operant power of consciousness itself. And consciousness is infinitely creative, infinitely flexible, infinitely capable of new assumptions and new manifestations. When you truly understand this, you will see that every moment is a new opportunity to assume something different about yourself and your world. You will see that you are not the victim of your circumstances, but the creator of them. You will see that you are not at the mercy of external forces, but the very force that shapes the external world through your assumptions. But assumption alone is not enough. You must persist in your assumption. You must maintain it in the face of contradictory evidence. You must hold to it when the world tells you that you are wrong. You must nurture it when doubt creeps in and fear whispers its lies. This is the test of your understanding, the proof of your faith, the measure of your mastery. The man who assumes wealth for a day and then returns to assumptions of poverty has not truly assumed wealth at all. He has merely entertained a pleasant thought. But the man who assumes wealth and persists in that assumption, who lives from it and thinks from it and feels from it regardless of what his senses tell him, will find that his assumption must externalize itself in his experience. This is not always easy, my friends. The world will challenge your assumption at every turn. It will show you evidence that contradicts what you assume. It will present you with circumstances that seem to prove that your assumption is false. But this is precisely when you must remember that appearance is not reality, that the external world is but the shadow of consciousness, and that shadows change when you move the light. When you persist in your assumption despite contradictory evidence, you are not being foolish or unrealistic. You are being scientific. You are conducting an experiment in consciousness. You are testing the law that states that consciousness is the only reality and that all else is but its expression. And like any good scientist, you must be willing to maintain your hypothesis in the face of initial contradictory results, knowing that the law will ultimately prove itself through your persistence. The great mystics and teachers throughout history have all understood this principle. They have all taught in their own way that the outer world is but the reflection of the inner world, and that by changing the inner, we change the outer. They have all emphasized the importance of faith, of belief, of assumption, of living from the end, rather than living from the beginning. But what they often fail to make clear is that this is not a matter of religion or spirituality or metaphysics. This is a matter of psychology, of the very structure of consciousness itself. When you assume something, you are not invoking supernatural forces or appealing to external deities. You are simply using the natural creative power of your own consciousness in the way it was designed to be used. Consciousness is creative. This is its nature, its function, its purpose. It cannot help but create. It is always creating, always expressing, always manifesting. The only question is what it is creating. And what it creates is determined by what you assume, by what you take for granted, by what you live from. When you assume success, consciousness creates success. When you assume failure, consciousness creates failure. When you assume love, consciousness creates love. When you assume loneliness, consciousness creates loneliness. There is no judgment in this law, no morality, no favoritism. It simply creates what you assume, regardless of whether that assumption serves you or harms you. This is why it is so important that you become conscious of your assumptions. Most people are completely unconscious of what they assume about themselves and their world. They react to circumstances without ever questioning the beliefs that create those circumstances. They complain about their problems without ever examining the assumptions that generate those problems. They hope for change while maintaining the very consciousness that prevents change. But when you become conscious of your assumptions, you become the master of your fate. You realize that you are not at the mercy of external forces, but that external forces are at the mercy of your consciousness. You understand that you are not the victim of circumstances, but the creator of circumstances. You see that you are not powerless, but infinitely powerful through the creative power of assumption. This power is not reserved for the few or the gifted or the chosen. It is the birthright of every human being. It is the very essence of what it means to be conscious. Every person who has ever lived has used this power, whether they knew it or not. Every achievement, every creation, every breakthrough in human history has been the result of someone assuming something different about what was possible. The man who first flew assumed that flight was possible, when everyone else assumed it was impossible. The woman who first voted assumed that women had the right to vote, when everyone else assumed they did not. The scientist who discovered a cure assumed that the disease could be cured when everyone else assumed it was incurable. In every case, the assumption preceded the manifestation. In every case, someone ignored the current reality and persisted in assuming something different. And this is exactly what you must do with your own life. You must ignore the current reality of your circumstances and persist in assuming the reality of your desires. You must live from the end, not from the beginning. You must think from your wish fulfilled, not from your wish denied. You must feel from your assumption of success, not from your observation of failure. This requires a complete reversal of the way most people approach their lives. Most people live from their circumstances. They look at what is and extrapolate what will be. They use their past to predict their future. They let their environment determine their state of consciousness. But you must learn to live from your consciousness and let your consciousness determine your environment. When you wake up in the morning, do not ask yourself what your circumstances are. Ask yourself what your assumptions are. Do not look at your bank account and let it determine your financial consciousness. Look at your financial consciousness and let it determine your bank account. Do not examine your relationships and let them determine your capacity for love. Examine your capacity for love and let it determine your relationships. This is the art of living from the end, of assuming the state you desire to experience. It is the art of being what you have, of feeling what you want to experience, of thinking from where you want to be rather than from where you are. But remember, my friends, assumption is not just a mental exercise. It is a whole being commitment. When you assume something, you must assume it with your entire being. You must think it, feel it, breathe it, live it. You must make it so real in your consciousness that it becomes more real to you than the evidence of your senses. This is where most people fail. They try to assume with their mind while their heart doubts. They try to think positive thoughts while their emotions remain negative. They try to imagine success while their body language expresses failure. But assumption is not partial, it is total. It is not intellectual, it is experiential. It is not what you think about. It is what you think from. When you truly assume something, you do not have to convince yourself that it is true. You do not have to argue with your doubts or overcome your fears. You simply live from the assumption as naturally as you live from any other belief you hold. You do not have to convince yourself that your name is what it is, or that you live where you live. You simply assume these things and live from them. So too must you assume your desires and live from them. This is why the feeling of the wish fulfilled is so important. Feeling is the secret of assumption. When you feel that your wish is fulfilled, you are assuming its fulfillment. When you feel successful, you are assuming success. When you feel loved, you are assuming love. When you feel prosperous, you are assuming prosperity. The feeling is not the result of the assumption. The feeling is the assumption itself. Most people have this backward. They think that they will feel successful when they achieve success, that they will feel loved when they find love, that they will feel prosperous when they acquire prosperity. But this is putting the cart before the horse. You must feel successful in order to achieve success. You must feel loved in order to attract love. You must feel prosperous in order to manifest prosperity. This is not pretending or make-believe. This is recognizing that feeling is the language of consciousness. the way that consciousness communicates with itself. When you feel something, you are assuming it. When you assume something, you are creating it. When you create something in consciousness, it must manifest in experience. This is the law, and it cannot be broken. But the law requires persistence. You cannot assume something for a moment and expect it to manifest immediately. You must persist in your assumption until it hardens into fact. You must maintain your feeling until it crystallizes into experience. You must hold to your assumption until it externalizes itself in your world. This is where patience becomes a virtue, not because you are waiting for something to happen, but because you are allowing something to unfold. You are not trying to force your assumption into manifestation. You are simply maintaining the state of consciousness that corresponds to your desire and allowing the law to operate through you. The man who plants a seed does not become impatient with the seed. He does not dig it up every day to see if it has grown. He does not doubt its ability to grow or question the laws of nature. He simply waters it, tends it, and trusts in the process. So too must you water your assumptions, tend your consciousness, and trust in the process of manifestation. But what happens when doubt creeps in? What happens when fear whispers its lies? What happens when the world seems to conspire against your assumption? This is when you must remember that doubt and fear are nothing more than negative assumptions, and they operate by the same law as positive assumptions. When you doubt your ability to succeed, you are assuming failure. When you fear that your desire will not manifest, you are assuming its absence. The key is not to fight these negative assumptions, but to replace them with positive ones. You do not overcome doubt by struggling against it. You overcome doubt by assuming certainty. You do not conquer fear by battling it. You conquer fear by assuming courage. You do not eliminate negative assumptions by focusing on them. You eliminate them by focusing on positive assumptions. This is the true meaning of faith. Faith is not believing in something despite the evidence. Faith is assuming something despite the appearance. Faith is living from the reality of your desire rather than from the reality of your circumstances. Faith is persistence in assumption regardless of external conditions. When you have faith, you do not need proof. You do not need evidence. You do not need confirmation from others. You need only your assumption and your persistence in that assumption. For you know that your assumption, maintained with persistence, must manifest in your experience. This is not hope or wishful thinking. This is confidence in the law of consciousness. And what is this law? It is simply this: consciousness is the only reality, and all else is but its expression. What you are conscious of being, you are. What you assume yourself to be, you become. What you feel yourself to be, you attract. What you think from, you experience. This is the law, and it operates with mathematical precision. But the law requires that you operate from consciousness, not from circumstances. You must think from your desire, not about your desire. You must feel from your assumption, not about your assumption. You must live from your wish fulfilled, not from your wish denied. This is the difference between those who manifest their desires and those who merely dream about them. The dreamer thinks about his desire. The manifester thinks from his desire. The dreamer feels about his assumption. The manifest feels from his assumption. The dreamer hopes for his wish to be fulfilled. The manifester lives from his wish fulfilled. When you live from your wish fulfilled, you are not trying to get something. You are being something. You are not attempting to become something. You are assuming something. You are not working toward a goal. You are living from the goal achieved. This is the secret of effortless manifestation, of natural success, of spontaneous fulfillment. The man who assumes wealth does not struggle to become wealthy. He simply lives from wealth, thinks from wealth, feels from wealth, and acts from wealth. Wealth is not his goal, wealth is his assumption. He does not try to get money, he assumes he has money. He does not work to become rich, he assumes he is rich. And because he assumes these things, because he lives from these assumptions, they must manifest in his experience. The same is true for any desire you may have. The woman who assumes love does not struggle to find love. She simply lives from love, thinks from love, feels from love, and acts from love. Love is not her goal. Love is her assumption. She does not try to get love. She assumes she has love. She does not work to become loved. She assumes she is loved. And because she assumes these things, because she lives from these assumptions, they must manifest in her experience. This is the power of assumption, the secret of manifestation, the key to transformation. When you assume something, you do not try to make it happen. You simply live as if it has already happened. You do not work to create it. You simply maintain the consciousness that corresponds to it. You do not struggle to achieve it. You simply persist in the feeling of having already achieved it. But here is what you must understand. The law of assumption operates regardless of the size or scope of your desire. It works just as well for small things as for large things, for simple things as for complex things, for personal things as for universal things. The law does not discriminate. It does not judge. It simply creates what you assume. The man who assumes he will find a parking space finds a parking space. The woman who assumes she will meet the right person meets the right person. The student who assumes he will pass the test passes the test. The entrepreneur who assumes her business will succeed succeeds. The artist who assumes his work will be appreciated is appreciated. In every case, the assumption precedes the manifestation. But you must be careful not to limit your assumptions by your past experience or your current circumstances. You must not assume that because something has never happened before, it cannot happen now. You must not assume that because you have failed in the past, you will fail in the future. You must not assume that because others have said something is impossible, it is impossible for you. The law of assumption knows no limitations except those you impose upon it through your own beliefs. If you assume that something is possible, it is possible. If you assume that something is impossible, it is impossible. If you assume that you can have your desire, you can have it. If you assume that you cannot have your desire, you cannot have it. The law simply creates what you assume, regardless of whether your assumption serves you or limits you. This is why it is so important that you examine your assumptions carefully. Most people are completely unconscious of what they assume about themselves and their world. They have inherited their assumptions from their parents, their culture, their education, their experience. They have never questioned these assumptions or examined their validity. They simply accept them as truth and live from them. But inherited assumptions are not necessarily true assumptions. They are simply assumptions that have been passed down from one generation to the next. They are assumptions that work for others in different circumstances at different times. They are assumptions that may or may not serve you in your current situation with your current desires. You must learn to question your assumptions. You must examine them, test them, and discard those that do not serve you. You must be willing to adopt new assumptions that align with your desires and support your goals. You must be willing to assume things that others might consider impossible or unrealistic. For what is realistic? Reality is simply the sum total of what has been assumed by consciousness. What we call the real world is simply the collective assumptions of humanity made manifest. But these assumptions are not fixed or permanent. They are constantly changing. As consciousness evolves and new assumptions are made. What was once considered impossible is now considered commonplace. What was once considered fantasy is now considered fact. What was once considered miraculous is now considered normal. All of this has happened because someone was willing to assume something different, to ignore the current reality and persist in a new assumption. And this is exactly what you must do. You must be willing to assume something different about yourself and your world. You must be willing to ignore the current reality of your circumstances and persist in the assumption of your desires. You must be willing to live from the end rather than from the beginning. This requires courage, my friends. It requires the courage to stand alone in your assumption when the world tells you that you are wrong. It requires the courage to persist in your feeling when the evidence contradicts your assumption. It requires the courage to maintain your vision when others cannot see what you see. But this courage is not a special gift reserved for the few. It is the natural result of understanding the law of assumption. When you truly understand that consciousness is the only reality and that all else is but its expression, you gain the courage to assume anything you desire. When you truly understand that your assumptions create your reality, you gain the courage to ignore current reality and persist in new assumptions. This understanding is not intellectual. It is experiential. It comes not from reading about the law, but from using the law. It comes not from thinking about assumption, but from assuming. It comes not from hoping for results, but from living from results. So I challenge you tonight to begin this experiment. Choose something you desire, something you want to experience, something you want to become. Now ignore the current reality of your circumstances and begin to assume that you already have it, that you already are it, that you already experience it. Live from this assumption. Think from this assumption. Feel from this assumption. Persist in this assumption, regardless of what your senses tell you. Do not try to figure out how it will happen. Do not worry about when it will happen. Do not concern yourself with whether it will happen. Simply assume that it has already happened and live from that assumption. This is the only way to prove to yourself the truth of what I have shared with you tonight. You see, my friends, belief is not something you can manufacture through effort or will. Belief is something that grows naturally from experience. The more you use the law of assumption, the more you will believe in it. The more you see it work in your life, the more convinced you will become of its truth. The more you experience its power, the more confident you will become in its reliability. But you must begin. You must take the first step. You must make the first assumption. You must persist in that assumption until it manifests in your experience. Only then will you truly understand what I have shared with you tonight. Only then will you truly know the power of assumption. And when you do, when you see your assumption manifest in your experience, when you witness the law of consciousness operating through you, you will never again doubt your ability to create your reality. You will never again feel powerless in the face of circumstances. You will never again believe that you are at the mercy of external forces. You will know with absolute certainty that you are the operant power of your own consciousness. You will know that you are the creator of your own reality. You will know that you are the master of your own fate. And you will know that there is no limit to what you can assume, no limit to what you can create, no limit to what you can become. This is the truth I have shared with you tonight. This is the power I have revealed to you. This is the key I have placed in your hands. Now you must use it. Now you must assume. Now you must ignore your reality and persist in your assumption until that assumption becomes your new reality. For in the end, my friends, there is no reality apart from consciousness. There is no truth apart from assumption. There is no world apart from what you assume it to be. You are the dreamer and the dream, the creator and the creation, the assumer and the assumed. When you truly understand this, when you truly live from this understanding, you will have unlocked the greatest secret of existence, that you are the power that creates your world, and that power operates through assumption. So assume, my friends. Assume persistently. Assume without limit. Assume without fear. Assume without doubt. For your assumptions are the very substance of your reality, and your reality is nothing more than your assumptions made manifest. When you change your assumptions, you change your reality. When you ignore your current reality and persist in new assumptions, you create a new assumption. This is the law. This is the way. This is the truth that will set you free from the bondage of circumstances and make you the master of your own destiny. Use it well. Persist in it faithfully. And you will discover that there is no limit to what you can assume, and therefore no limit to what you can experience. The power is within you. The law is available to you. The key is in your hands. Now go forth and assume your good, persist in your assumption, and watch as your reality transforms to match your consciousness. For this is the way of the master, the path of the creator, the secret of those who know that consciousness is the only reality, and that all else is but its magnificent expression.
There is a power within you so great, so divine, so absolutely so, that if you but awaken to it, you will never again live as though you are a victim of circumstances. You will no longer beg, plead, or wait. You will simply assume. You will assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and you will watch in wonder as the world rearranges itself to mirror your inner state. My friend, I tell you, all things are possible to the one who dares to believe. And belief, as I have taught again and again, is not wishful thinking. It is the acceptance of a reality unseen. It is faith clothed in feeling. Now I have something to give you today. A secret so simple, yet so powerful, it has the ability to alter your entire existence. It consists of only 3 words, 3 sacred words, that when felt deeply and accepted as truth, will manifest your dreams into reality. You may ask, what are these 3 words? And I will tell you, but first, let us understand the nature of reality itself. Reality is not something out there. Reality is consciousness. All that you see, all that you experience, is but a reflection of the state you occupy within. The world is yourself pushed out, your assumptions hardened into fact, not because the outer world has any power of its own, but because you have imagined, accepted, and sustained them. Therefore, if you seek change, if you truly desire to manifest the life of your dreams, you must first change the inner conversations, the inner assumptions, the inner states. We have been taught to work hard, to struggle, to strive. But I tell you, effort is of the flesh. Manifestation is effortless when it comes from a place of inner knowing. When you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, without doubt, without contradiction, and rest in that assumption, all things are drawn unto you. You become magnetic, not because you chase your desires, but because you become one with them. And so the question arises, how can we enter this sacred state? How can we sustain the assumption long enough for it to manifest in form? This is where the 3 words come in. These words are not to be spoken merely with the lips, but to be accepted with the heart. They are to be felt, not recited. They are the key that unlocks the door to the infinite. These 3 words are, it is done. Yes, my dear friend, it is done. Not I hope it happens. Not someday it will be. Not maybe if I try hard enough. No, it is done. And in those 3 words lies the power to bend reality. Because when you say it is done, you are no longer entertaining the possibility of failure. You are no longer seeking or yearning. You are no longer doubting or waiting. You are declaring that what you have imagined is already a fact, though unseen. Faith is not hoping for the future. Faith is claiming the future as present. It is done is the language of God. It is the final word. When God created the heavens and the earth, He did not say, I hope this works. No, He said, it is good, and then He rested. Why did He rest? Because the work was finished in consciousness. The creation was complete the moment He imagined and accepted it. The outer manifestation merely followed. So when you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and declare within yourself, it is done, you are entering that same creative act. You are becoming the operant power. You are not looking at appearances, for appearances lie. You are not listening to the senses, for the senses only echo past assumptions. You are listening to the truth within. You are holding fast to the unseen and walking by faith. Let me tell you a story. A woman once came to me, desperate for healing. She had tried every treatment, every doctor, every remedy, yet the condition persisted. I said to her, do not pray for healing. Pray from the feeling of having been healed. Declare within yourself, it is done. At first, she resisted. Her mind said, but it's not done. The pain is still here. And I told her, do not worship facts. Worship the truth of your imagination. The facts are shadows. They will change. But the feeling you accept as real is the cause. And so she began. Every day, she would close her eyes, relax her body, and imagine herself free, walking, laughing, vibrant, alive. And as she felt this inner reality, she would say quietly, it is done. She said it not to convince the world, but to convince herself. She said it until the words no longer sounded like hope, but like truth. And then one day, without warning, the condition vanished. Her body reflected what her mind had already accepted. Do you see now? The law is always working. It does not care if you use it in ignorance or in wisdom. If you say within yourself, I am poor, the world will show you poverty. If you say, no one loves me, the world will reflect your loneliness. But if you dare to say it is done, and feel that your desires are already yours, then so they shall be. These 3 words are not magic. They are not a formula. They are a declaration of identity. When you say it is done, you are stepping into the version of yourself who already has, who already is, who already knows. You are aligning with the end. And I have told you, The end is where we begin. Always imagine the end. Never the means, never the how, only the end. And feel it as if it is already true. If you wish to be rich, do not ask how the money will come. Instead, feel the joy of having it. Hear the sound of your new lifestyle. Smell the leather seats of your new car. Walk as if the wealth is already yours. And then say within, it is done. If you wish to be loved, do not seek the person or the path. Instead, rest in the warmth of love. Feel their arms around you. Hear their voice in your ear. Laugh with them in your mind. And then, in a whisper of power, say, it is done. If you wish to be free, to be healthy, to be joyful, then do not look to the world to give you permission. Give it to yourself now. Enter the state mentally. Dwell in it. Saturate your being with it. And from that feeling of completion affirm it is done. You are not manifesting through effort. You are manifesting through identity. You are not chasing, you are remembering. Your dream is not outside of you. It is you, it is the truest version of you, already known in the eternal imagination of God. And when you say it is done, you are collapsing time. You are bringing the future into the now. You are calling things which are not as though they were. And the world must obey. Now let me ask you, can you believe without seeing? Can you trust the unseen more than the seen? Can you surrender the need to control and simply assume the end? If so, then nothing shall be impossible to you, because belief is not mental affirmation. It is a feeling, a conviction, a knowing. And the moment you feel your desire as real and declare it is done, the universe begins to move. You may not see the evidence right away. That does not matter. The seed does not sprout the moment it is planted, but it is growing nonetheless. Do not dig it up with doubt. Do not cancel your declaration with contradiction. Simply persist. Remain faithful to the assumption. And as surely as the sun rises, your world will reflect it. You have heard it said, ask and it shall be given. But I say to you, ask believing that it is already given. Ask from the state of fulfillment. Do not plead. Do not beg. Do not wait. Declare the end from the beginning. And rest in the assurance that your assumption, once sustained, must manifest. The law is impersonal. It does not reward the worthy. It reflects the persistent. So practice this. Choose one desire. Make it simple, if you must. Something you can easily imagine. Now close your eyes. See it. Feel it. Live in it. Imagine a scene that implies your wish is fulfilled. Make it vivid. Make it natural. And then from the depths of your being, say it is done. Say it with certainty. Say it with gratitude. Say it as if it were the final word. Do not say it and then look around for proof. That is doubt. Say it and go about your day as if it was so. Walk in faith. Talk in faith. Think in faith. And the world will catch up to your inner conviction. It must. For consciousness is the only reality. These three words, it is done, are the key to freedom. They lift you out of longing and into possession. They transform you from a seeker into a creator. They eliminate resistance and align you with the frequency of your desire, because you are no longer asking for it. You are being it. All great masters have used this truth. When the master healed, he did not say, you will be healed. He said, you are healed. When he raised the dead, he did not hope they would rise. He said, come forth. He spoke the end as if it already was. That is power. That is dominion. And so I leave you with this. Try it. Not once. Not as a test, but as a way of life. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and declare with boldness, it is done. And then walk in that state. Persist in that state. Let it saturate your mind, your heart, your speech, your walk. Let it become who you are. And watch, my dear friend, as reality bends to your will, not because you forced it, but because you remembered who you are. You are the operant power. You are the dreamer dreaming the world into being. And now you know the secret. It is not complex. It is not far away. It is within you. 3 words. Infinite power. It is done. As you continue to say these words, it is done. Let them become more than just a mantra. Let them become your new inner atmosphere. Feel the weight of them. Feel the finality, the certainty. Let them settle in your bones and echo through your chest. You are not trying to convince anyone. You are not performing. You are not wishing. You are knowing. And it is that knowing which moves mountains. When you think of your desire, think of it from the end, not toward it. If you desire a certain lifestyle, Do not ask how to get there. Assume you are already living it. Feel the fabric of the clothes you would wear. Walk through the house in your imagination. Smell the air, hear the sounds, touch the walls. Let it be so vivid that it blots out the present moment. And then say, without hesitation, it is done. And move on with your day, not as the old self, but as the version of you who already lives in the fulfillment of that dream. You must understand, your outer world cannot help but conform to your inner world. It is law. But most people live backwards. They look at what is and they react. They worry. They fear. They affirm what they do not want by giving it their emotional energy. And so it continues. But the one who knows the law lives from within. They close their eyes to the evidence of the senses and open their inner eye to the world they are creating. They live as if they assume the end, and they know that their assumption once persisted in must harden into fact. These 3 words are not just a statement. They are a shift in consciousness. When you say it is done, you are exiting time. You are entering the timeless realm of imagination, where all things are already finished. Every possibility exists now, and the one you give your attention to, the one you feel as real, is the one that will externalize. So stop wondering when. Stop measuring time. Stop doubting the unseen. Instead, go within. See the end. Feel the joy of it. And say, with the assurance of one who knows it is done. If doubt arises, do not argue with it. Do not fight. Simply return to the feeling. Go back to your scene. Re-enter the state. Say it again. It is done. Let it wash over you like warm light. Let it take root. Let it become natural. As you persist in this assumption, something begins to shift. Not out there, but in you. And when it shifts in you, the world responds. This is how you manifest not just one desire, but a life of deliberate creation, a life where you no longer wait, no longer chase, no longer plead. You assume, you feel, you declare, and you receive, not through struggle, but through alignment. You have been given the greatest gift, the power to assume any identity, any reality, any condition. Use it. Use it wisely. Use it boldly. Use it lovingly. Each time you imagine and feel something as real, you are creating. And each time you say it is done, you are sealing it in consciousness. That seal is what gives it permission to come forth into form. Even when nothing seems to happen, even when the outer world appears unchanged, do not be moved. The change has already occurred where it matters in consciousness. And consciousness is always ahead of manifestation. The world is delayed echo. It will catch up. So do not let appearances shake you. Do not let time deceive you. Every moment you spend dwelling in the feeling of the wish fulfilled is a moment spent creating the inevitable. You are chiseling out the shape of your new world. You are writing the script, even as the actors are still playing the old scene. But soon the curtain will fall, and the new act will begin. You will walk into the very scene you once only imagined. And when you do, you will remember these 3 words, not as theory, but as truth. When someone asks you how you did it, you will not say, I worked harder, or I got lucky. You will smile, and perhaps you'll whisper softly, it is done, because you will know that the power was never outside of you. It was in your assumption, your feeling, your faith. You will realize that you were not manifesting things. You were manifesting versions of yourself. Each desire fulfilled was simply you stepping into another dimension of yourself, another state of consciousness. The money, the love, the success, these are shadows. They are reflections of the state. And when you say it is done, you are stepping fully into that new state, embodying it, claiming it, becoming it. This is why I say to you, feel your wish fulfilled, not once, not briefly, but dwell in it, marinate in it. Let it become your home. Do not merely visit it when things go wrong. Live there. Think from it. Speak from it. Act from it. Let that version of you whole, fulfilled, abundant, be the one who shows up in the world each day. It may take a day, a week, a month. That does not matter. Time is irrelevant to the one who knows it is already done. If it is done, then there is no question of when. You would not ask, when will the sun rise, after it has already risen. You would not ask, when will I receive it, if it were already in your hand. So speak from the end. Move as if, and let the rest unfold in its perfect way. If you waver, return to your inner sanctuary. Sit quietly, breathe, enter the scene, feel the joy, and once again declare, It is done. This is your sacred tool, your creative wand, your divine password to the infinite. And soon you will begin to notice shifts. People will speak differently. Opportunities will arise. Coincidences will pile up. But do not be surprised. This is simply your new state becoming visible. The unseen becoming seen. The Word made flesh. It is done. And because it is done in consciousness, it must now be done in form. That is the law. That is the promise. That is the nature of reality. So hold fast to these words, not with desperation, not with grasping, but with quiet power. Say them not as a wish, but as a decree. A king does not beg his kingdom to obey. He commands. A queen does not ask permission to rule. She assumes her throne. In the same way, you must assume your desire is already yours. That is the secret. That is the great mystery unveiled. You do not get what you want. You get what you are. And the moment you say it is done, you are that which you seek. You begin to walk differently. You speak differently. You respond to life differently. Not because something has changed outside, but because everything has changed within. Your assumptions create your reality, and you are always assuming something. The only question is, are you assuming what you desire, or are you assuming its absence? Every time you say, it is done, you align yourself with the frequency of the wish fulfilled. You begin to think the thoughts you would think if it were true. You begin to feel the feelings you would feel if it were already yours. And that frequency, sustained and undisturbed, is what brings the unseen into form. Do not confuse motion with creation. Many people run, chase, hustle, and strive, and still remain unfulfilled, because true creation happens in stillness, in silence, in imagination, in faith, not in the chaos of trying, but in the serenity of knowing. Your greatest power is not in doing, it is in assuming. Assume the end, and remain faithful to it, regardless of what the senses report, regardless of what others say. The world may laugh, it may scoff, it may resist, but it is not your concern. Their reactions are echoes of old assumptions. Let them pass. You are creating something new. You are calling forth a new pattern of reality, one that is not born of logic or statistics or probability, but of vision, emotion, and certainty. And when fear arises, and it will, do not deny it, but do not worship it either. See it as a passing shadow, a flicker of an old identity, a ghost of who you no longer are, and then return to the state. Feel it again, and whisper those 3 words that shatter doubt. It is done. Let that phrase be your shield and your sword, your anchor and your sail. Let it guide you through storms, through silence, through uncertainty, and trust that it is working, even when it looks like nothing is, because the seed does not sprout the moment you plant it. It germinates in the dark. It draws from the unseen, and only later does it break through the surface. So it is with your desire. You have planted it in the rich soil of imagination. You have watered it with feeling. You have sealed it with the sacred decree. It is done. Now trust. Let it unfold. Let it grow in its own perfect time. The harvest is certain. The more you say these words, the more natural they become. At first they may feel like a lie, but that is only the echo of the old self resisting its death. Persist. Continue. Each time you say it is done, the old fades and the new grows stronger. The false self begins to crumble, and the true self, the fulfilled self, emerges. You are not affirming a fantasy. You are affirming a deeper reality, one that exists beyond sight, beyond time. And the moment you feel it as true, you are tuning into it like a radio dial. And reality, ever faithful, responds to your signal. This is how you bend reality, not by force but by frequency, not by manipulation, but by alignment. You shift your identity, and the world mirrors it. You no longer beg for change. You become the change. You no longer plead for abundance. You embody abundance. You no longer chase love. You radiate love. And in doing so, everything that matches your new state must come. There is no need to worry how it will happen. That is not your role. The how belongs to the deeper intelligence, the same force that keeps your heart beating, that guides the stars, that blossoms the flowers. Your role is to decide what, to feel it as real, and to know it is done. That is enough. When you live from this place, life becomes effortless. You stop reacting. You stop doubting. You stop needing proof before belief. You believe, and the proof appears. You trust, and the path opens. You let go, and things fall into place, not because you are lucky, but because you are finally aligned. The beautiful part is, you can begin now. You don't need permission. You don't need to wait. Close your eyes, see it, feel it, breathe it, own it, and declare it is done. That simple act is the turning point. That single decision can realign your entire life, because with those 3 words, you are stepping into a new timeline, a new story, a new version of yourself. The more you persist in this story, the more the old fades away. The world, once unyielding, begins to soften. People change, circumstances shift, opportunities arise seemingly from nowhere. But they are not from nowhere, they are from within. They are the outer reflection of your inner assumption. Each time you are tempted to return to the old story, to the fear, the doubt, the lack, remember your power, remember your authority. Speak the truth again. It is done. Let those words be the ground you stand on, the rhythm you walk to, the fire that fuels your every step. Do not wait for results to feel it. Feel it first, and the results will follow. That is the law. That is the secret. That is the way. You are not here to hope. You are not here to try. You are here to create. And creation begins in imagination, in the unseen. It begins the moment you refuse to be defined by what currently is, and instead choose to be defined by what is already done in your consciousness. Every time you assume the wish fulfilled and confidently say, "It is done," you are stepping out of limitation and into infinite possibility. There is no greater illusion than separation. Separation from your desire, from your ideal, from your higher self. But the moment you say, "It is done," that illusion crumbles. You no longer chase the dream. You embody it. You no longer seek, you become. And in becoming, everything shifts. Your world begins to take shape around your new self. It begins to bow to your conviction, because all things must obey the assumption that is deeply felt and persistently held. Do not underestimate the simplicity of this. The mind will want to complicate it. It will demand steps, strategies, and proof. But the spirit knows this is not about effort. It's about alignment. This is not about force. It's about feeling. And nothing aligns faster than a soul who quietly, confidently declares, "It is done." You will notice this truth when you stop trying and start trusting. When you stop pushing and start assuming. When you stop looking for it out there and begin seeing it in here. And the more often you declare, "It is done," the more familiar it becomes. The more you say it from the depth of your being, the more it starts to feel like your natural state. And when it becomes natural, it becomes inevitable. The world around you is plastic, malleable, responsive. It is shaped and reshaped every day by your dominant state of being. This is why you must discipline your inner speech. Let your inner conversations reflect the reality you desire, not the one you fear. Speak to yourself as the one who already has it. Think from the result. Feel the joy now. That is the secret behind all miracles. You are not here to struggle through life, hoping for small favors. You are here to awaken to your divine power, to see yourself not as the victim of circumstances, but as the author of them. And the pen you use to write your world is imagination. The ink is feeling. The signature is your assumption that it is done. When you say these words, feel their gravity. You are not just making a statement. You are collapsing all timelines into one. The one where your wish is fulfilled. The one where it's already yours. The one where you are living the life you once longed for. And the more real that feels to you, the faster it arrives. This is why repetition matters. Not mechanical, lifeless repetition, but repetition charged with belief and emotion. When you say "it is done" with conviction, it imprints on your subconscious mind. It bypasses the doubts and begins to work behind the scenes, drawing people, events, and conditions to fulfill itself. The subconscious mind does not question. It does not judge. It simply accepts what you feel to be true and expresses it in form. It mirrors back your assumptions. So take care with what you assume. Take care with what you declare. Make sure it's what you want, because it will show up. Each time you return to your inner vision, each time you step into the feeling, you are reinforcing the bridge between the unseen and the seen. And every time you walk that bridge with certainty, you are shortening the distance. You are becoming the living embodiment of your desire. Let nothing distract you from this inner work. It is the most sacred, the most potent, the most creative act you can perform. It is the womb of all miracles. You do not need to broadcast it to the world. You do not need to prove anything. You only need to assume
and let life confirm it. When you close your eyes tonight, do not fall asleep in the story of lack, or waiting, or wondering. Fall asleep in the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Hear the conversations you would hear if it were true. See the world as you would see it. Smile the smile you would smile, and softly whisper, "It is done." Let that be the lullaby that rocks you into the creative depths of sleep. When you wake, do not pick up the old story. Do not check the evidence of the senses. Instead, carry the feeling into your day. Move from it. Speak from it. Think from it. Be so immersed in the reality of your fulfillment that the old world cannot hold its shape anymore. It must dissolve. It must rearrange. It must make way for what you have declared to be done. You are the operant power. You are not at the mercy of fate or chance. You are not a leaf in the wind. You are the wind itself. You are consciousness, clothed in flesh, dreaming dreams into reality through assumption. And with every breath, every thought, every inner word, you are creating. So create wisely, create lovingly, create deliberately. Each time you say "it is done," say it as one who knows, not one who hopes. Say it as one who commands, not one who begs. Say it as one who has already received, not one who waits. This is your power. This is your truth. This is the secret that sages have known for centuries. The kingdom of heaven is within you. The riches, the love, the health, the joy. They are not out there waiting for you to earn them. They are within you now, waiting for you to claim them. And how do you claim them? Not by striving, not by suffering, not by suffering, not by suffering, not by proving your worth, but by assuming the state and declaring with unwavering certainty, "It is done." So I leave you with this truth, simple yet eternal. It is done. These 3 words are not mere affirmation. They are a command, a spiritual decree, a shift in identity. They carry the weight of creation itself. When spoken with conviction, they dissolve doubt, bend time, and reorder the universe to match your assumption. Never again say "I hope," or "I wish," or "maybe one day." Those are the voices of the old self, the self that waits, that fears, that believes in conditions. You are done with that. From this moment forward, speak only from fulfillment. Think only from the end. Feel only what you would feel if it were true. And when the world tempts you to waver, return to your center and say it again. It is done. Say it until the walls of limitation collapse. Say it until your body believes. Say it until your world reflects it. You are not here to wait for a miracle. You are the miracle. You are not here to chase your dreams. You are here to embody them. And now you know how. Walk from this moment as one who has already received. Let your actions be born from faith, not fear. Let your presence radiate the knowing that what you desire is already yours. And when others ask you the secret, smile and whisper the truth that has transformed your life. It is done.
What it truly means when we say, "Everyone leaves on the surface," it may appear to be a statement of abandonment, of loss of inevitable solitude. But I tell you, it is a statement of profound truth about the nature of our reality and our journey through this world. You see, in this world of Caesar, in this realm of shadows and reflections, people come and go. Relationships form and dissolve. Even the most steadfast companions will, at some point, depart, if not through choice, then through the natural course of life and death. This is the way of the world we perceive with our physical senses. But I am here to remind you of a greater truth: you are never truly alone. For you are one with the divine, with the creative power of the universe, with what I often refer to as your wonderful human imagination. This is the God within you, and it is ever present, all powerful, and the true source of all that you experience in your world. When we say everyone leaves, we are acknowledging the transient nature of our external experiences. We are recognizing that all things in this world of Caesar are temporary, fleeting. But in this recognition, we open ourselves to a profound realization. The only constant in your life is you, not the you of flesh and bone, but the divine you, the I am that is your true self. This I am is the God within you. It is the creative power that shapes your reality. It is the awareness that observes your thoughts, feelings, and experiences, and it is the only thing that truly never leaves you. Everything else, every person, every circumstance, every material possession is but a shadow, a reflection of your inner state. Now, you might be thinking, but Neville, this sounds isolating. Are you saying we should push everyone away? No, my dear friends, that is not what I'm suggesting at all. Instead, I'm inviting you to shift your perspective, to realize that your true power, your true essence, lies within you and not in the external world. When you understand this, when you truly grasp that you are one with the divine creative power of the universe, you will never feel alone again. You will realize that you have within you everything you need to not just survive, but to thrive, to create, to manifest the life of your dreams. Let me share with you a simple truth that has transformed countless lives. Your imagination is the God within you. It is the creative power through which all things are possible. When you learn to harness this power, when you learn to live from the end, to experience in your imagination the reality you desire, you become the master of your own destiny. You see, the world around you, with all its people and circumstances, is nothing more than a mirror reflecting back to you your own inner state. When you change within, the reflection must change without. This is the law, and it is immutable. So when we speak of learning to survive alone, what we're really talking about is learning to tap into the infinite power within you. It's about realizing that you are the operant power in your world. You are the one who decides what your experience will be, regardless of external circumstances. Now, let's delve deeper into this concept of being alone. In the world of Caesar, being alone often carries negative connotations. We're told that humans are social creatures, that we need others to thrive. And while it's true that relationships and connections can enrich our lives, it's crucial to understand that true fulfillment, true peace, true power comes from within. When you learn to be comfortable in your own company, when you learn to rely on your own inner resources, you become invincible. No external circumstance can shake you because you know that you carry within you the power to change any situation, to create any reality you desire. This is what it means to truly survive alone. It means to stand firm in the knowledge of who you really are, a divine being, one with God, possessing infinite creative power. It means to live from that state of awareness, to operate in the world from that unshakable foundation. But how do we achieve this state? How do we come to this realization and begin to live from it? The answer, my friends, lies in the practice of what I call the law. This law is simple yet profound. Imagine the reality you desire, feel it as real, and it must come to pass in your external world. You see, your imagination is not some fanciful, idle daydreaming. It is the very workshop of creation. When you imagine, you are engaging the God within you. You are exercising your divine creative power. And when you couple that imagination with feeling, when you feel the reality of what you've imagined, you set in motion the forces that will bring that imagined reality into your physical experience. This is how you not only survive but thrive when everyone leaves. You realize that you never needed anyone else to complete you, to fulfill you, to make you whole. You always had within you everything you needed. The people in your life, the relationships, the connections, these are all wonderful expressions of your inner state, reflections of your consciousness. But they are not the source of your happiness, your success, your fulfillment. You are the source. Let me give you an example to illustrate this point. Imagine a young woman who has just gone through a difficult breakup. In the world of Caesar, she might feel lost, alone, incomplete. She might believe that her happiness walked out the door with her former partner. But if this young woman understands the law, if she grasped the truth of her own divine nature, she would see the situation very differently. Instead of focusing on the loss, on the absence, she would turn within. She would use her imagination to create the reality she desires. Perhaps she imagines herself confident, joyful, and fulfilled. Perhaps she feels the reality of being in a loving, supportive relationship. Or perhaps she imagines herself thriving in her career, surrounded by friends, living a life of purpose and passion. The key is this: whatever she imagines and feels as real must by law be reflected in her external reality. This is not wishful thinking or positive affirmations. This is the operation of cosmic law. This is the creative power of God, the human imagination at work. Now, some of you might be thinking, but Neville, isn't this selfish? Shouldn't we be focusing on others, on building relationships and connections? And to this, I say, there is no greater service you can offer to the world than to realize your own divine nature, to manifest your highest self, to live from the state of the person you wish to be. You see, when you do this, when you live from the end, from the state of your wish fulfilled, you automatically uplift everyone around you. You become a living example of what's possible. Your very being becomes an inspiration, a beacon of light in the world. Moreover, when you understand that everyone in your world is you pushed out, a reflection of your own consciousness, you realize that by changing yourself, by living from your higher state, you are quite literally changing the world. You are improving every relationship, every interaction, every circumstance in your life. This, my dear friends, is the true meaning of learning to survive alone. It's not about isolation or self-sufficiency in the worldly sense. It's about realizing your oneness with God, your true identity as the operant power in your world. It's about understanding that everything you seek, love, success, fulfillment, peace, is already within you, waiting to be recognized and expressed. Let's explore this concept further through the lens of various life situations. Consider the realm of career and success. Many people believe that their success depends on external factors, on knowing the right people, on being in the right place at the right point, on having the right qualifications or background. But I tell you, true success comes from within. When you imagine yourself successful, when you feel the reality of being the person you wish to be in your career, you align yourself with that state. You begin to think, speak, and act from that state of success. And inevitably, the outer world must reorganize itself to match your inner assumption. I've seen this principle at work countless times. I remember a young man who came to one of my lectures. He was struggling in his career, feeling stuck and unappreciated. I advised him to imagine himself in the position he desired, to feel the satisfaction and confidence of being successful in his field. At first he was skeptical, but Neville, he said, I don't have the experience or the connections. How can simply imagining make a difference? I told him to persist in his imaginal act, to make it so real that he could taste it, feel it, live it in his mind. Weeks later, he returned with a beaming smile. Not only had he been promoted to the very position he had imagined, but opportunities he had never even considered had begun to flow into his life. You see, when he changed his inner state, when he began to live from the end in his imagination, the outer world had no choice but to conform to his new self-concept. This, my friends, is the power you hold within you. This is how you thrive when it seems like everyone has left. When the outer world seems unsupportive or even hostile to hope, you turn within, you imagine the reality you desire, and you live from that state. Now let's turn our attention to the realm of relationships, for this is often where the fear of being alone is most keenly felt. Many of you may have experienced the pain of loss, the ache of heartbreak, the fear of abandonment. And in those moments, it can feel as though a vital part of you has been torn away. But I am here to remind you of a profound truth. No one can complete you because you are already complete. You are whole, perfect, and complete in your divine nature. The love you seek, the companionship you desire, these are all within you, waiting to be recognized and expressed. When you understand this, when you live from this truth, you free yourself from the desperate need for others to fill a perceived void in your life. You become magnetic, attracting into your life people and relationships that reflect your inner state of wholeness and love. Let me share with you the story of a dear friend who grasped this truth and transformed her life. She had been through a series of unfulfilling relationships, each ending in heartbreak and disappointment. She came to me feeling depleted, wondering if she was destined to be alone forever. I asked her a simple question. Who would you be if you were in the perfect relationship? How would you feel? How would you carry yourself? I encouraged her to imagine herself as that person, to feel the joy, the confidence, the love that she would feel in her ideal relationship. At first, she found it challenging. The pain of her past experiences kept intruding on her imaginal scene. But I urged her to persist, to make her imaginal act more real than her memories of past disappointments. Gradually, she began to feel a shift. She noticed that she was becoming more confident, more joyful, more at peace with herself. She no longer felt the desperate need to be in a relationship. And then something remarkable happened. Not only did she begin to attract healthier, more fulfilling relationships into her life, but she realized that she had fallen in love with herself. She had discovered the wellspring of love within her own being. She understood, perhaps for the first time, that she was complete in herself. This, my dear friends, is the liberating truth I want you to grasp tonight. When you realize that you are complete in yourself, when you tap into the infinite love and power within you, you free yourself from the fear of being alone. You learn not just to survive, but to thrive in any circumstance. Now, let's address another aspect of our topic, the fear of death. For in the world of Caesar, death represents the ultimate leaving, the final solitude. Many live in fear of this moment, seeing it as the end of everything, the ultimate separation. But I tell you, death is but a transition, a shift in consciousness. When you understand your true nature as a spiritual being, as one with God, you realize death holds no power over you. Your true self, your I am, is eternal and unchanging. In fact, I encourage you to practice dying daily. By this, I mean to die to your old concept of self, to let go of limiting beliefs and negative self-images. Each night as you go to sleep, imagine yourself as the person you wish to be. Feel the reality of your wish fulfilled. Then, as you awake each morning, carry that new self-concept with you into your day. This practice of dying daily to your self and being reborn to your ideal self is the key to personal transformation. It is how you survive and thrive in a world where everything is constantly changing, where people come and go, where nothing in the world of Caesar is permanent. Remember, my friends, that your true home is not in this world of shadows and reflections. Your true home is in the realm of imagination, in the kingdom of God within you. When you live from this awareness, you are never truly alone, never truly abandoned, never truly at the mercy of external circumstances. Let's now turn our attention to the practical application of these principles in your daily life. How do you begin to live from this state of divine awareness? How do you tap into the God within you and create the life you desire? The first step is to still your mind, to quiet the incessant chatter of your physical senses and your rational mind. This is why I often emphasize the importance of meditation and contemplation. Find time each day to sit in silence to turn your attention inward. As you sit in silence, bring to mind the reality you wish to experience. See it clearly in your mind's eye, but don't stop at mere visualization. Engage all your senses. If you're imagining a successful career, feel the satisfaction of achievement. Hear the congratulations of your colleagues. Feel the weight of responsibility and the thrill of new challenges. If you're imagining a loving relationship, feel the warmth of your partner's embrace. Hear the words of love and support. Feel the deep sense of connection and understanding. Whatever you're imagining, make it as real and as vivid as possible. And here's the crucial part. Feel the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Feel the gratitude, the joy, the sense of accomplishment, as if what you're imagining is already your reality. This feeling, this emotion, is the secret to effective manifestation. For you see, the subconscious mind, which is one with the universal creative force, doesn't distinguish between what you're experiencing in your physical reality and what you're experiencing vividly in your imagination. When you feel the reality of your imagined state, you impress that reality upon your subconscious mind, and it begins to work tirelessly to bring that reality into your physical experience. Now, some of you might be thinking, but Neville, I've tried this, and it didn't work. I imagined what I wanted, but nothing changed to this. I say persistence is key. You must return to your imaginal scene night after night, impressing it upon your subconscious mind until it feels more real to you than your current physical reality. Remember, you are undoing years, perhaps decades of negative thinking and limiting beliefs. You are reversing the momentum of your old thought patterns. This takes time and consistent effort. But I assure you, if you persist, if you remain faithful to your imaginal act, it must bear fruit in your physical reality. Moreover, you must learn to live from the state of your wish fulfilled. This means aligning your thoughts, words, and actions with the person you are imagining yourself to be. If you're imagining financial abundance, start treating yourself as if you are already wealthy. If you're imagining a loving relationship, start treating yourself and others with the love and respect you envision in your ideal relationship. This is what I mean when I speak of living from the end. You don't wait for your outer world to change before you change your inner state. You change your inner state, and your outer world must follow suit. Now let's address a common concern that arises when we speak of creating our own reality. Many worry, if I'm creating my reality, does that mean I'm to blame for all the negative things in my life? And to this I say, let go of the concepts of blame and fault. These are limiting beliefs that keep you trapped in a cycle of guilt and self-recrimination. Instead, embrace the empowering truth that if you can imagine it, you can create it. Your past thoughts and beliefs may have contributed to your current circumstances, but your future is determined by your present thoughts and beliefs. You have the power right now, in this very moment, to begin creating the life you desire. This understanding is particularly powerful when it comes to healing from past hurts and traumas. Many of you may have experienced abandonment, betrayal, or loss. These experiences can leave deep scars, making it difficult to trust, to open your heart, to believe in the possibility of love and connection. But I tell you, no matter what you've experienced in the past, you have the power to heal. You have the power to rewrite your story, to create a new narrative for your life. And it all begins in your imagination. Imagine yourself healed, whole, and complete. Feel the peace that comes with forgiveness, the joy that comes with self-love, the confidence that comes with knowing your own worth. Live from this state and watch as your outer world begins to reflect your inner healing. Remember, everyone who has ever hurt you, everyone who has ever left you, was simply playing a role in the story you were telling. As you change your story, as you revise your concept of self, The characters in your life will either change to match your new narrative or they will exit stage left, making room for new characters who align with your new self-concept. This is the true meaning of learning to survive alone. It's about recognizing that you are the author of your life story. You are the creator of your reality. You have within you everything you need to create the life you desire. Now, let's talk about the concept of revision, a powerful technique that can help you reshape your past and consequently your present and future. Revision is not about denying what happened, but about reinterpreting events in a way that empowers you and aligns with your desired reality. For instance, if you've experienced a painful breakup, instead of replaying the hurt and betrayal in your mind you have seen, imagine the relationship ending amicably, with both parties wishing each other well. Feel the peace and closure that comes with this revised scenario. Or if you've lost a job, instead of dwelling on the feelings of rejection and failure, revise the scene. Imagine your former employer congratulating you on moving on to bigger, better opportunities. Feel the excitement and optimism of new beginnings. By revising past events in your imagination, you're not changing what physically happened, but you are changing your emotional response to those events. And since your emotional state is what creates your reality, this revision can have a profound impact on your present and future experiences. This practice of revision is particularly powerful when it comes to healing feelings of abandonment or betrayal. Instead of seeing yourself as a victim of others' actions, you begin to see yourself as the powerful creator of your own experience. You realize that no one can truly abandon you because you are never alone. You are always one with the divine, with the God within you. Now, I want to address something that many of you may be feeling as you hear these words. You might be thinking, Neville, this all sounds wonderful, but it feels selfish. Shouldn't we be focusing on helping others, on making the world a better place? To this I say, there is no greater service you can offer to the world than to realize your own divine nature and to live a nature. When you tap into the God within you, when you begin to create consciously and deliberately, you become a beacon of light in the world. Your very being uplifts those around you. Moreover, when you understand that everyone and everything in your world is you pushed out, a reflection of your own consciousness, you realize that by changing yourself, you are changing the world. As you cultivate love, peace and abundance within yourself, you naturally extend these qualities to everyone in your world. This is the true meaning of being your brother's keeper. It's not about trying to change others or fix their problems. It's about embodying the change you wish to see in the world. It's about living from the state of the person you wish to be. And in doing so, inspiring others to recognize their own divine nature. Let me share with you a powerful practice that can help you embody this understanding. Each night, before you go to sleep, I want you to imagine yourself as the person you wish to be. See yourself living the life you desire, embodying the qualities you admire. But don't stop there. As you imagine this ideal version of yourself, extend that same love, success, and fulfillment to everyone in your world. See everyone around you thriving, joyful, and fulfilled. Feel the happiness that comes from knowing that as you prosper, so does everyone in your world. This practice not only accelerates your own manifestation process, but also cultivates a deep sense of connection and oneness with all of life. You begin to understand experientially that there is no separation, that we are all one in consciousness. As you continue this practice, you'll find that your fear of being alone, your fear of abandonment begins to dissolve. You realize that you can never truly be alone because you are one with all of life. You are one with God, the creative power of the universe. Now let's delve deeper into the concept of states of consciousness, for this understanding is crucial to mastering the art of conscious creation. Every experience you have, every circumstance in your life, is the result of the state of consciousness you're occupying. A state is simply a mindset, a way of being. It's the sum total of your thoughts, beliefs, and feelings about yourself and the world. When you change your state, when you shift your consciousness to embody different thoughts, beliefs, and feelings, your experience must change to match your new state. This is why it's so important to mind your inner conversations, to be aware of the thoughts you're thinking and the emotions you're feeling throughout your seal. These inner conversations, these habitual thought patterns, are creating your reality. If you find yourself constantly thinking thoughts of lack, of loneliness, of abandonment, you're occupying a state that will continue to create experiences that match those thoughts. But the moment you shift your consciousness, the moment you begin to think thoughts of abundance, of connection, of divine companionship, you move into a new state. And your reality must shift to reflect this new state. This understanding is particularly powerful when it comes to dealing with the fear of being alone. You see, loneliness is a state of consciousness. It's not determined by your external circumstances, but by your inner perception of those circumstances. You can be in a room full of people and feel desperately alone if you're occupying a state of loneliness. Conversely, you can be physically alone and feel deeply connected and fulfilled if you're occupying a state of divine companionship, of oneness with God. The key then is to consciously choose the state you wish to occupy. And you do this through your imagination. By imagining yourself in the state you desire, by feeling the reality of that state, you begin to shift your consciousness. And as your consciousness shifts, your reality must follow suit. Let me give you a practical exercise to help you master this skill of state shifting. Choose a state you wish to embody. Perhaps it's confidence, or love, or success. Now, close your eyes and imagine a scene that implies you are already living from that state. Make it as vivid and as real as possible. For instance, if you're imagining the state of confidence, you might see yourself giving a powerful presentation to a room full of attentive listeners. Feel the confidence coursing through your body. Hear the applause at the end of your talk. Feel the satisfaction of knowing you've made a positive impact. Now, here's the crucial part. Carry this feeling with you throughout your day. When you interact with others, when you go about your tasks, do so from this state of confidence. Speak, think, and act as the confident person you've imagined yourself to be. At first, this might feel like you're pretending or playing a role. But I assure you, as you persist in this practice, it will become more and more natural. You'll find yourself spontaneously thinking and acting from this new state. And as you do, you'll see your outer world begin to reflect your inner state. This practice of consciously choosing and occupying states is the key to mastering your life experience. It's how you learn not just to survive, but to thrive, regardless of external circumstances. It's how you become the conscious creator of your reality. Now, I want to address a question that often arises when we discuss these principles. Many ask, Neville, if I can create my reality through my imagination, why do bad things stay? Why do I still experience loss and pain? To this I say, remember that you are in the process of awakening to your true nature as a divine creator. You are learning to use the power of your imagination consciously and deliberately. But for much of your life, you've been creating unconsciously, reacting to circumstances rather than consciously choosing your state. Moreover, you are surrounded by the thoughts and beliefs of others, by societal conditioning that often runs counter to these principles. It takes time and practice to overcome these influences and to consistently create from a place of conscious awareness. But here's the empowering truth. Even when challenging circumstances arise, you have the power to choose how you respond. You have the power to revise your experience, to find the gift in every situation, to use every experience as an opportunity for growth and expansion. This is what it means to be the operant power in your world. It doesn't mean that you'll never face challenges or that everything will always go smoothly. It means that you have the power to choose your response to every situation, to create meaning from every experience, to use every circumstance as a stepping stone to your desired reality. As we near the conclusion of our discussion, I want to leave you with a powerful reminder. You are never truly alone. The God within you, your own wonderful human imagination, is your constant companion, your unfailing friend, your source of infinite possibility. When you fully grasp this truth, when you live from this understanding, you free yourself from the fear of abandonment, from the anxiety of being alone. You realize that everything you seek, love, companionship, success, fulfillment, is already within you, waiting to be recognized and expressed. So my dear friends, as you go forth from this place, I encourage you to practice living from the state of your wish fulfilled. Imagine the reality you desire. Feel it as real and persist in that feeling. Know that as you do this, you are engaging the creative power of the universe. You are activating the God within you. Remember, everyone lives in the world of Caesar, but in the world of spirit, in the kingdom of God within you, you are never alone. You are one with the source of all creation, one with the power that shapes universes. Embrace this truth. Live from this understanding. And watch as your world transforms to reflect the divine being that you truly are. Thank you, and may God bless you all.